Hello, everyone. This is Will Osborne from doingcoaching.com. I'm here with you today. Today, I've got one of our clients here, Kirsten. So, Kirsten, she's got an awesome story that she's gonna share with us regarding her journey with coaching. Um, Kirsten is doing coaching for a living. So she actually left the corporate world to start a coaching practice to help as many people as possible with coaching, changing lives, and making an impact. Yeah, so Kirsten, out of all things, why coaching? Obviously, because it sounds like you had a really good career in the corporate world.
Yes. So, I think when I look back on my career, I worked in healthcare. Actually, let me reset. I'm going to reset. I'm sorry.
Okay.
How's your editing skills?
No, it's fine. Don't worry. It's just people want.
I'm sorry, I got a little.
No, it's okay. Just be yourself. Like, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a little lead in again, or do you want me to just go ahead?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's good.
Okay, so I'll just mainly start. Yes. So I
Mhm.
left my corporate job in August of 2021,
Mhm.
and I took some time.
Sure.
I had been working for 30 years, solid, really focused on my career, really focused on promoting and salary and all the things that many of us,
Yeah.
feel are important as we're building our careers.
Sure.
And I had some success in that. And that has allowed me to then be able to coach other people
Sure.
who are in leadership or wanting to progress in leadership, etc. But I found myself not in the right place anymore. So I thought I would retire. I had been there 17 years at my last employer, and I thought I would retire there. And I had done a lot of work on myself over the last, 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
And having done that work on myself, I was surprised by the realization that I didn't really belong in that job anymore.
Yeah.
And so
Just
I
to,
left it.
sorry, just to interrupt. What was the last position that you held?
I was an executive vice president of healthcare operations. And so I had 45 different healthcare service locations across 6 different US states and 6 different US time zones. I
Yeah.
had a team downstream from me of over 500. I supervised VPs. I was an executive VP, so I
Sure.
supervised VPs.
Mhm.
And so, the years that I spent building my business acumen, but also coaching other leaders,
Yeah.
that is such a critical part of what a leader does, is to communicate with and to coach and to help other leaders
Yeah.
emerge and
Sure.
promote. So that was, I ran the business. I was
Mhm.
responsible for the business in that
Mhm.
organization. And by virtue of that work, did a tremendous amount of coaching.
Mhm.
And then prior to that, I'll just mention that I was a chemical dependency specialist, so an addiction specialist. So the first 12 years or so of my professional life, I spent doing one-to-ones, teaching classes, facilitating group therapy. And so having that also in my history gives me a level of comfort in working one-to-one with people and talking about things that go beyond just the surface and that go beyond just business, because what creates that wonderful business are the human beings
Sure.
that are involved in the business. And having, a supportive leader, being a leader and having the tools to care for oneself and do the things that need to be done in order to be an effective leader and not, run into burnout and so forth, are things that I just did a tremendous amount of work on, and felt like I had a lot to offer other people as a coach. And then separately, I have many, many, many life experiences that have been challenging, and that I have come through in a way that is resilient, because I tend to learn from my challenges and take from them tools that I can offer to other people.
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, after I left my corporate job and then really thought about what I wanted to do with my
Yeah.
skills and experience.
So before you left, because obviously you said that you thought you were going to retire in this job. So
Yes.
what happened? Yeah, what happened then? Because obviously your plan was to retire.
Yeah, my plan was to retire, and I was the designated successor to the chief operating officer. And I had really worked my whole career to get to the C-suite. So I was one little step out of the C-suite, and probably a number of years, not that many, from potentially succeeding into that role. And as we all know, that's a huge salary bump.
Sure,
I mean, that is sometimes
in the US, right? Say that's a US, sort of a US corporation, yeah.
Yeah, so that can often be like a six-figure difference in, right? And so that was kind of my retirement plan. I'm 52, and I didn't want to, I don't want to work forever. And I thought, well, great. So if and when that happens, I'll be able to put that money away and prepare for retirement. So that was my plan. And having done all of this personal work and, just really clearing away a lot of the noise that I had going on, I was a perfectionist, which was serving me in some ways, because it does, for all of you perfectionists out there, we do tend to achieve a lot of things with our perfectionism, but it can also, there's so much noise from those voices telling us we have to do more, be more, work harder, that we can sometimes miss our real truth. And we just keep searching, working, thinking, eventually I'm going to feel what I'm supposed to feel. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel satisfied. I'm going to feel like it's enough. It doesn't really work that way. Actually, I found. And so having done all that work, really understanding who I was, I began to show up at my job in a different way. I saw different things became important to me. I was communicating in a different way. And it really I was no longer a fit for the culture, the corporate culture that I was in. I was no longer probably a great fit even for my role that I really loved previously. And so I had some painful experiences as a result of that, that really showed me that if I were to have stayed, it wouldn't have been right for me. And so sometimes we have to make choices that are right for us, that are not what we expected, and that are pretty scary. Because in my case, I did leave the job without another job. And so, I've been living off of my savings by reducing my expenses, ultimately, and also just choosing to allocate some of the resources that I worked so hard to accumulate over the last 30 years to truly invest in myself. And to truly invest in myself, I needed to give myself both time to really understand what I wanted to do and how I wanted to move forward. And then I needed to use those resources to fund my business. Because it takes a little while to start to actually generate income and to connect with clients that are meant for you, who can afford to pay you, and then to start working with those clients.
Got you. So why did you choose coaching when after you left the corporation? So how did that come about, you choosing coaching?
Well, I knew that I wanted to do three things. I wanted to write, I wanted to tell stories, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to use my experiences to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also the daughter of a coach, a lifelong coach. And so I understand the power of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and the difference between coaching and therapy,
Yeah.
having the experience that I have,
Mm-hmm.
and the power for it to really support people and help people, and change their lives. And so
Yeah.
that's why I chose coaching, because I have a lot to offer, and I really want to help other people.
Good. And what kind of coaching do you do now? Like specifically, like what kind of people do you help, and what will be the challenges that they'll be having then coming to you?
Mhm. So that's an interesting question. And so I did, module one, of your program, and I had already created a brand and a website. And so, I did things in the order I did them.
Mhm.
Some of the things I did were maybe things that one would do later in the development
Yeah.
of their business. And, I did them at first. And so once I started to engage with your program, I went back to, my brand ended up to be great, and what I had created ended up to be um, still unique to me and truthful. And so none of that was wasted at all.
Mhm.
However, I came into coaching in a way that I think a lot of coaches come in. We come in thinking, well, I can do a lot of things.
Mhm.
I've done a lot of things. I can do a lot of things. I can coach a lot of different people. And while that might be true,
Mhm.
it's very difficult to sell that and
Sure.
to convey that. And so I really learned about the importance of the coaching niche and understanding your coaching niche, and ensuring that your coaching niche really is yours, that you identify with it, that it feels true to you, and that you can, um, eventually, it takes a little while to develop this, but that you can easily and honestly convey what you
Mhm.
do as a coach. So having gone through that process, I did come to believe that I am a self-love and compassion transformation coach. And additionally, how that can be used in conjunction with my business acumen
Mhm.
to help leaders develop in leadership, as well as to help people who want to start their own businesses. So interestingly, the clients that I am working with,
Mhm.
I am using the centering of the self,
Yeah.
as sort of one of the core practices
Mhm.
of my coaching. And we are doing a lot of work on, one of them is starting a new business on the side while working full time,
Mhm.
to kind of create something different for their future. The other person is running their family business,
Mhm.
and has some really interesting and challenging dynamics in terms of the leadership team and the family dynamics of this business. And so I'm noticing as I'm working with these clients, I am pulling from all the many, many, many areas that I thought I would probably pull from in order to help them. Um, and so I'm finding it to be very satisfying, very fun. I
Mhm.
can see them being helped. I can see it happening. They're expressing that to me.
Mhm.
When we reach the end of a session and they have really meaty assignments to work on, so that they're really moving forward, I really focus on getting
Mhm.
right to work and really giving them something to work on right away, so that they're moving forward towards their goals. Because the other thing I really learned from you is, it's not about the session. It's not about, regardless of how you structure your practice, um, whether you're selling a program or a block of sessions or whatever you're doing, it does need to center the client's goals.
Mhm.
and helping them to accomplish their goals
Yeah.
versus number of sessions and
Yeah. Yeah.
and that. So that was
Yeah. It's
really
always
also
about,
super helpful for me.
yeah. So it's always about obviously working with someone, working as a coach, when you work with someone, this obvious has to be an end goal. And whatever steps that you take working with them, it has to lead to that end goal, obvious, to those sort of like results that they came to you for, like the outcome that they came to you for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it sounds like the kind of coaching that you're doing, like it was a little bit different before starting working with us here at doingcoaching.com. But as you go through the our starting working with us in our program and sort of support, you then sort of like figure out the coaching that's aligned with you, that's truly
Yes.
aligned with you. And that's the coaching that you're doing now, which is centered between self-love and transformation, working with people who are leaders and also people who are in business. And if I got that correct.
Yes, I'm doing it. Yes, I'm getting to work with people that are they're, I mean, I will say they're very motivated and they're really excited about the work that they're doing. And we are working on all those things at the same time, which is what that's my superpower, right? That's, I know that I knew that I was capable of doing that. And that if I just kept on, that I would eventually find clients and those clients would find me. And we would be a match. And once that match happens, it really does feel very natural.
Sure.
Because if it's not a match, it's not a match. And like, I don't think you don't want to force that.
No.
But once it's a match, I found that it moves forward pretty organically. Once you make that connection.
So apart from obviously going through the program and help you figure out your exact coaching, this coaching, is it based, I mean, how did you conclude? Was it based on is it based on your own experience and your own journey? Like, okay, you can actually work with this, specifically with this kind of people. So in your understanding, what was it based? Was it based in your journey, your experience, or your knowledge? Like, I'm just trying to understand that part that led you to say, okay, I think these are the folks that I should be focused on working on. I should be working with.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I want to make sure I understand what you're asking. Can you say that one more time for me?
Yeah, I'm saying after going through the obviously working on module 1, which kind of led you to finally figure out like what kind of coaching you should do. So what kind of folks, what kind of folks you should have, what kind of people you should help. So my question is like, was it based on what you were going through the program? Was it the understanding of the experience that you have, or you've been there, or your journey that, okay, I think these are the folks that I can help? Like,
yeah. So I think maybe the best way for me to describe it is, you know, the way that I worked through module 1, right? And I did all of the exercises and the worksheets. And what I started with in terms of like listing all of my experiences and all of the areas that I have experience in that I would be able to help somebody else, just because there was a long list of those things, kind of honing it down, it allowed me to land where I was the most passionate.
Quite sure. Yeah.
And the most excited, right? So can I help people who have a certain type of cancer or who have a certain type of inflammatory bowel disease, or can I help people with addictions, or like, yes, I have vast eating disorders. Yes, I have
Yeah.
vast amounts of experience in all of those areas, as well as in business development, starting a small business, being a business owner, working in a corporate environment. Yes, so I have all of those experiences and can help people with all of those things. But in working through all of the exercises and really finding my superpower as a coach, that seems very clear to me. So when I am looking at a lead or interacting with a client, I really get a sense pretty clearly about whether it is a potential fit or not,
Right. Mhm.
because I know myself and I
Mhm.
know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of, and I know what my skill set is.
Coaching. Mhm.
And so it's hard for me to answer this because I'm not just connecting with people who want to work on their self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
I'm also connecting with people who want to do something different in their businesses, but
Mhm.
that is not possible. The thing that is keeping them from potentially moving forward comes back to how they feel about themselves, how they view themselves, how they speak to themselves, how they care for themselves. So while we're working on the business, we are also working on centering them and helping them to develop those personal practices as well. So does that
Yeah,
answer?
it does. It does. To me, it sounds like what helped you was more of like, okay, things that you're specifically passionate about. But in addition to that, also the experience and the genuine knowledge that you had and everything, but mostly passionate about. So it
Yes,
sounds like when you talk to the client, you can kind of connect to that,
yes,
to those things. Is this passionate? Is this passion come because you've been there yourself, or
yes. It comes because I've been there myself, and because
yeah,
I understand and have been able to experience a variety of transformations
yeah,
in my life. And so I have all of that to offer. And so like I find myself when I'm
mhm,
working with somebody, one of my practices is to be completely present. And
yeah,
so in that way, I'm somewhat of a reactive coach. Like I don't go into the sessions with an exercise. Like
right, yeah,
this is what you do first. This is that's
mhm,
not what I do as a coach. And those are not the clients that I am finding myself connecting with, right? These clients I'm working with are relatively complex. They have
mhm,
complex, sort of layered issues going on.
yeah,
Uh, so maybe I'll ask my train of thought, but that is who I'm landing with.
got you.
Um, yeah, which is really kind of a dream for me
Amazing.
because
Mm,
what because I am somewhat unusual in the depth and breadth of my experiences.
mhm,
And in having been a therapist and having all of that background of how to help people work through things, as well as how
mhm,
to help people work through different types of professional
yeah,
um, challenges, that I just feel secure in my skill set. So I did not choose a certification program or anything like that. And the reason that I didn't was because I have so much experience
yeah,
already,
yeah,
both my knowledge base, but also my ability to work with people directly. I already know how to do that.
mhm,
Yeah. So
amazing.
I chose
Yeah,
to
mhm,
draw from all of that.
got you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So would you say that um, someone um, who have achieved like overcome a certain situation or have experienced transformation in their life and also be passionate about that thing, they could also use that to help other people through
Yes.
coaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Because for instance, one of my clients, I knew from before,
Yeah.
and they had expressed a desire to be coached by me, and it took maybe a year for her to be ready. I don't exactly remember the timeline.
Yeah.
But one of the things that she reflects to me pretty often is I seeing it happen for you,
Mhm.
and being able to see the transformation and to see the difference and to see, where you're going
Right.
is inspirational to her.
Yeah.
And I think gives her some comfort in that, I'm offering both, you know, learned knowledge as well as a ton of real life experiences.
Mhm. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Obviously, you have paying clients now. You're working with paying clients now,
Yes.
as a coach. So you have like a very viable coaching business now that you're feeling confident about it. I think that's what you said to me earlier on during the introduction. Yeah.
Yes. So I think, I'm working with a couple of clients, and, obviously I need to build that client load up a bit, and getting to work with these couple of people, the communication process, the setting
Mhm.
of the fees, like that has just been immensely helpful, right? Because
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
work and work and work and work and work, and when you don't get a yes, and you don't, you communicate with clients and leads, and they don't get back to you or whatever, it can start to feel like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing wrong? Is there something I'm saying or not saying? And sometimes it's just a numbers game,
Yeah.
and you do have to kind of keep trying, but also I really try to focus on those people that I think I'm a good fit for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If I feel like that doesn't look like a great fit for them or for me, I don't waste resources or time
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
The other thing I would note, that's a little bit unique to my situation, is that having done the work in module 1 that helped me to really define my coaching niche, I was approached by Voice America to host a radio show, and that was based upon my website, my brand, my writing, and my transformational stories. And when they approached me, that really was a great fit for my goals, because of course I want to help people. That allows me to help people on a
Awesome. That's
broader
amazing. Yeah.
scale. I get to tell stories.
Mhm.
I get to write. I get to do all the things that I wanted to do. And when that opportunity presented itself, first of all, that's a wonderful opportunity to market
Yeah.
my coaching practice. So if I'm going to put some money and resources somewhere, putting it into a radio show where
Mhm.
people can actually listen to me for an hour
Yeah.
and get helped,
Mhm.
and also, gives me a place to advertise. One of the reasons that I was able to turn that proposal around as quickly as I was, and one of the reasons that I was able to basically design the show relatively quickly and feel excited and passionate about it, is because of all the work that I did in module 1.
Oh, wow.
Um, I
Yeah.
was able to turn that around and
Yeah.
create a
Mhm.
radio show out of that was completely tied
Yeah.
to my passion
Yeah.
and what I think I really have to offer,
Yeah.
that's unique.
Awesome. Yeah. Module 1 is the program, by the way, in doingcoaching.com of the accelerator program.
Yes.
As I said earlier on, we started working with Christine. She's one of our clients. So for just to clarify that for people, um, and so like if someone was looking to work with you, say a leader or one of the business owners, maybe sounds like you're someone who can help them. At the moment, like how are you sort of like working with them, and what would it cost them to work with you?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, great question. So, for instance, I just was working on a client lead before we got on
mhm.
the call, and it's somebody that has pretty similar goals to one of the other people that I'm working with right now. Already in a leadership position, has some specific leadership development goals, all which fall squarely into my scope of practice and knowledge. And so, I'm communicating with him. I'm using one of the scripts in one of your other modules. It's either 4 or 5, where you give some scripting for email outreach.
It's module 5.
Module 5. So I used that to tailor my emails. And after I changed that, I did get a response that then converted into a paying client.
Awesome.
So to answer your question, so I'll just kind of tell you the story of the client, one of the clients I'm currently working with, and he came through Bark. And so he expressed some interest in me. So I'll say about my use of Bark, it can be pretty expensive because you do have to pay for those leads. So what I've started to do is when somebody shows interest in me, those are the leads I typically interact with. Otherwise, I'm spending quite a bit of money and not always getting a response. So in the case of this client, he showed some interest in me. I could see that I would probably be a good fit for him. I communicated with him. He did get back to me, which was really nice. We set up a call. We really just focused on, I have some questions that I asked for the initial call, but mostly I'm really just trying to not only get to know the person, but to really dig into their situation, because one of the things I offer in that outreach is I want you to leave that first session with something, with a tool, no matter what, to help you right away. So I'm listening for areas where I can make suggestions, regardless of whether they choose to coach with me or not. So I did that with him. His situation was really quite interesting and complex and not easy at all, which I don't know, was exciting to me. And so toward the end of the call, we kind of had covered everything. And he said, so how does it work? So how does it work and what's it cost? And I said, well, I suggest that you basically ultimately buy an initial package that'll cover us for about 6 to 8 weeks of coaching sessions that are either an hour or a half an hour. I offer both, depending upon where we're at and what's right for the person. It includes an additional half hour that's on me. That's my accountability to the client, is to have a designated time where we get together and talk about our progress and how it's feeling for them and how it's working for them and what's going well and what's maybe not going as well. That is on my dime, not their dime. I don't want them to pay for that. And so, and I also offer just asynchronous support in between if somebody just needs a little help getting through something or a pep talk or whatever. So that's all included. So that's $1,500. And that gets us, that is going to allow us to get really into the work and to really help the client to move forward and to start to really see some change, which I'm seeing after the first session, like right away. Right away, they're starting to, because I'm devising tools and practices that are specific to them and their situation as we're in the session. And I'm just being completely present. I'm designing something for them as we go. And I'm finding, I'm of course, I'm an empath and I watch things closely. And so I'm experiencing the session and I'm watching them experience the session. And also they're giving me feedback like, wow, that was great. Or, wow, I've gotten so much already, or things like that. So those are the things I'm looking for to ensure that we're not just paying for sessions.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And how are you feeling? How does this make you feel, like doing this now, working as a coach now and actually working with clients who actually decided to invest in themselves and actually pay to work with you. And when you seeing this help, like helping them, like when you're seeing this sort of transformation, or they're seeing them getting help that they came to you for, I mean, how does that make you feel?
It is the best. It is the best. I mean, I came out, I was in this room doing it where I'm sitting right now at my mom's house. And like I come out of my sessions just like it feels so great to be able to help, like to truly know that you are giving people something that they're not going to arrive there on their own. They need your help. That's why they're reaching out. That's why we're, getting together to do this. And so like, for instance, the other day, I was talking to my partner who's Turkish, and I said, do you know that expression, woke up on the wrong side of the bed? And he actually knew that expression, interestingly. And so I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, like we do. And I just was just in a crap mood. And I had a session with one of my clients later that day, and it just changed my entire everything, my body chemistry, my mood. It just feels wonderful. It's a dream come true.
Awesome. Yeah, I know coaching is very fulfilling and very rewarding. So I can talk from experience myself. Yeah, and also like other advantages of doing coaching. Obviously, the main thing that we do coaching, first and foremost, is to help people change people's lives.
Yeah.
As you were like expressing how it made you feel. How the other thing is like, how are you feeling about working home and also sort of like have your own hours, not have any boss? Like, how has that sort of like change your life a little bit?
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It is, you have to become comfortable with discomfort, because if you're going to have your own business and your business is really you, and the only things that come to your business are pretty well generated by work you do to bring in that business, right? Like it's never, you don't really, it's just always kind of on your mind a little bit. So I do have that, but I use all my tools and practices to manage that, right? So that we don't start to tell ourselves things that are unhelpful. Like, well, yeah, you're working with clients now, but it's not quite enough. You're not quite, okay, fine. But like, we don't need to tell ourselves that, right? Like that's not that helpful. We're just here trying to build our.
It's definitely not a helping energy for sure.
No, exactly. So I love being able to set my own schedule, and I work on my coaching business, I work on my radio show, I work on my writing, and they're all connected. They're all connected. They're all kind of held in my website, but then they're also connected in that they all do the same thing. They're all designed to help people with things that human beings experience. So I'm getting to help people in a variety of ways, not just in one way. And so, I worked a pretty demanding schedule for a lot of years. And so part of my hopes and dreams for this part of my life was to build a business that I was able to do from anywhere, and that, didn't require necessarily full-time hours.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously we started working with you from scratch at a time. We're doing coaching.com and our coaching program, Coaching Business Accelerator program. And how has it been helpful? If so, how has it been sort of helpful to you?
Gosh, honestly, that painstaking work of finding my coaching niche and really understanding it and really honing my ability to communicate it. I was able to adjust my website so that it really reflected that. The coaching directories that I'm on, those are consistent. My radio show is consistent. My writing is consistent. I'm working on a book. I'm working on 2 books really that are consistent with my passion, which I was able to really get a clear picture of and learn how to communicate because of the initial work I did with doing coaching.
Awesome. So I'm so happy to hear that. And so would you recommend doingcoaching.com or our program to any coaching who's just starting out and looking for the right guidance and building the coaching business the right way and get it working?
I would. Because part of what you do especially in those early modules, is you dispel the myths that many of us come into coaching believing that we're just going to kind of hang out our shingle and clients are going to come, and doesn't work like that.
No.
Yeah, so I did find it very helpful, and I would particularly say if you're just starting out, or you're already going but you're having some difficulty building the business, I think it's a great program in either case.
Yeah, awesome, thanks. And what would you advise to someone who's in the program but today not seeing much success?
It sometimes takes some time. That was the case for me. It's taken some time. Some of that has to do with me. So let's tell the truth about that. Some of the reason that it's taken some time is that there were some pieces of this work that were challenging for me, that were difficult, that were not comfortable for me, that are not pieces of work that I maybe did in my career, because I had a marketing department to do the marketing and things like that, right? So we come from sometimes a corporate environment where we had a lot of expertise in our own scope, but we had other people helping us with things that we now have to do for our own business. And so some of the reason it took a while is just because it took me a while. I had some blocks and some things I had to work through personally and with my own mindset and my own comfort with discomfort. And the other piece is it just takes time to build a new business. And, yes, it's a lot of work. And yes, it's time consuming, particularly in the beginning. But as you mentioned in your program, and one of the things that I've been reminding myself of, and I don't just remind myself, I remind my partner. When my partner is like, how are you doing? Do you have any more clients? I remind myself and him that this is an investment in my long-term future. So that's the other thing, is managing expectations around what's happening right now, particularly when it has to do with money. And remembering that you are investing in your future for years to come. So don't let the short-term challenges that you experience as you're building your coaching practice derail you. Don't let them discourage you to the point of giving up. I did find that even when I had those feelings and thoughts, and even maybe I had a period of time where I was a little low, the air kind of was out of my balloon, I would, take a breath and fill my balloon back up and just keep trying. Just keep moving forward, doing the things that are honest and true and that match your intention and your passion and your goal of helping other human beings. I think, keeping those centered, working on your mindset, using your coach when you need some encouragement or a little push. All those things are really important as you're building your coaching practice. Because listen, I have a couple paying clients that I've been working. I worked a long time to get, and that the work doesn't stop. like you really are, you really are incrementally building, and everything you do, even if you don't see right away,
Yeah.
you know, that something comes back to you, everything you do, you're
Mhm.
putting a little something out into the universe about
Mhm.
yourself, about your coaching practice, about what you have to offer.
Mhm.
That's never a bad thing.
True. Yeah. Awesome. And so what are the plans for you in future with your coaching practice and your coaching channel? Like obviously I know you've got to write a show. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about it as well quickly? Um,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes. So I have a radio show. It's called, so my coaching practice is called GTO, Giraffe Tango Octopus, GTO, Coaching for Humans. I use that same brand for the radio show. It's called GTO, Freedom for Humans.
Yeah.
It is about humans freeing themselves from suffering by developing unconditional acceptance, love, and compassion for themselves. And so that is the core of my coaching practice. And so I cover all kinds of topics. I've had some wonderful guests. I have some really exciting kind of high profile authors that are coming on my show in January,
Awesome.
whose work really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
yeah, so I am going to continue the show. The end of January is my 13-week pilot season. I have decided to continue, and they would like to renew the show with me. So I'm going to do that at least for the next year. And I'm also going to focus on my writing and my coaching outreach and how to make all of those things work together to more organically generate coaching leads and traffic to my website. That's my plan for the next year, is to keep doing those three things that are my passion and that I love doing and that help other people, and to build my business that way.